Hey horror fans, it's your girl Chauncey Robinson, the twisted girl next door, and today I am on the red carpet for the opening night of Shriekfest, bringing you all the interviews. Let's get creepy.
My name is Josi Cat.
And what's your connection to Shriekfest?
Well, in the past, I've done the red carpet interviews like yourself, and I also, exactly, I love all things horror, so any type of involvement is fun. However, my passion is making horror-related music videos.
Wow, okay, so what inspires you to what inspired you to kind of mix the music with the horror?
All of my videos have been completely inspired by different directors and producers. I did one of my films, which was an award winner for the Fetish Film Festival, was inspired by Stanley Kubrick, and it was all black and white film noir. Others have been featured in Horror Hound Convention, and those were inspired by, we worked with the song Pet Cemetery. Awesome. So that was fun, and they showed that actual video during all of the convention in between each film. So each one is completely differently inspired by things that I love.
Awesome. And there's been a lot going on in the horror genre right now with certain movies, Hereditary, Get Out, and others. What are you thinking of the horror genre at this moment, and what is kind of your hopes for the future when it comes to the expression of the genre?
Well, as far as the genre goes, I would like to see more female directors and producers on the screen, and also more time for women villains, not just, a chick running with her shirt falling off and stumbling. So that's what I would like to see.
Dylan Narang.
And what's your connection to Shriekfest, Dylan?
My movie SOUNDWAVE, I wrote and directed it, got into the festival.
Awesome. And could you tell us a little bit about that for, viewers?
Sure. So SOUNDWAVE is a neo-noir about a young inventor who invents a device that can hear into the past. He can hear old sound waves, so he can hear old conversations. And he uses that to make a little money on the side, and then some bad guys get wind of it and they come after him.
And what inspired you to kind of come up with this concept?
I have an uncle who's a psychiatrist, and we were talking one time, and he just said, wouldn't it be really interesting if you could hear everything that my patients say? And he said, if you could, you would hear some crazy stuff. And I was like, hey, that got me thinking about it.
And what has inspired you in terms of the horror genre? What made you kind of make this sort of genre film?
Well, this one is more of a sci-fi film, a sci-fi noir film. But, I think just making anything that you could make kind of an interesting story that's visually something stimulating or something that's different. And this one allowed me to do that, and with the crew and everyone that I got to work with, it really pushed a lot of boundaries that I think is pretty interesting.
And what are you looking forward to on Shriekfest besides the premiere of your movie?
I mean, Shriekfest is such a good festival. We were here with my first movie called All I Need 2 years ago, and Denise, the festival director, just does a great job. She communicates so effectively, and everything is run really well. It's a really fun festival. There's good people here. We've already been talking to a bunch of people in line, so I think just talking to other filmmakers and kind of hanging out, seeing movies.
Awesome. And lastly, there's been a lot when it comes to horror and sci-fi in terms of groundbreaking films in the last year or two, sort of getting a little bit more of a recognition. What's your hope for the future when it comes to the genre in terms of recognition in Hollywood and the film industry in general?
I mean, I think like anyone, you want to make a really good movie that people enjoy and it has a message that gets through. I think that's the most important thing. Now, it would be great if that also leads to being able to make more movies and tell more stories. I think that's the ultimate goal, right? So you just want to tell more stories.
It's a sci-fi thriller, and I am the main antagonist or villain.
Oh, okay, you're playing a villain. So in terms of what attracted you to that project?
Work.
Work. Okay.
But look, it's work. But
have you acted in that genre before?
I haven't acted in that genre before, but I have played a villain before, and the villains are always a lot more exciting. Mm-hmm. You can have a lot of fun, and especially when they don't really have any qualms about what they're doing. Yeah. There's no guilt there. Yeah. My character's quite a bit of a sociopath, and he'll do whatever he wants to get what he needs.
Okay, and what do you hope in terms of for the audience that's watching it? What kind of messaging, if anything, that they walk away with the film?
I don't know whether there is a message there, Chauncey, but I think look, if you can go on an emotional journey with a film, you can be sucked into a film, and by the end have gone through whatever emotions you need to go through, and that's what the film wanted. That's all you can ask, really. Look, if there's a message underneath there, people can take what they want.
Anna Armstrong, and I am the executive producer of a short film called The Moor.
And if you could tell us a little bit about your project.
It's a short film that deals with, it's a very evocative topic of a mysterious character that haunts Dartmoor in Western England. And it's interesting that so many of these cultures have these odd figures, like south of the border in Mexico, there's the criatura. And in the Catskills of New York, there's the headless Hessian horseman. And across the pond in Dartmoor, there's this evil, sinister man known as the Huntsman, the Black Rider, the Evil Rider, who steals souls. And mostly this was, the writer took inspiration because his first job after college was in Dartmoor, and he collected all these stories about this mysterious and fearsome rider and came up with this very wonderfully introspective piece about how places where we go, we think that that we'll have one experience, but then it turns out to be something completely different. This wonderful place that seems by daylight just rocky and wild and wonderful nature. Its nature is not so nice.
And is this what attracted you to the project? Kind of the mythos, the history, the kind of way it digs deep into certain themes?
Yes. This is very much a Twilight Zone type of a movie, and it's eerie, it's psychological, and you can pick all that up as you watch the film. The effects Mother Nature gave us herself. The fog is real. It was provided by Mother Nature. We didn't
no special effects.
No, absolutely none. Absolutely none. The moon was up that night. It was a full moon. There was wonderful fog in the background and added to the mystery of the film. But I enjoyed working with James Everett, who is the writer and director of this. He and I have worked on several projects together, and he is full of talent and promise for the future. And I look forward to participating in many more that he has. And right now, I'm going to look forward to enjoying this wonderful feast of Horror Fest.
Yeah, I mean, basically, without giving anything away, basically it's about her character, Alyssa, who inherits a house after her grandfather dies under mysterious circumstances. And basically she goes there and has to unravel the mystery and find out what the evil is inside the house. And that's all I want to say without ruining it, so people get to see it at the festival. But there's a lot of turns and it goes in unexpected directions. But it's a scary movie.
Awesome. And are there any particular themes we should look out for besides girl power going on here, clearly, since it's a woman-led film?
There's girl power and mouse power.
That's intriguing. Can you give more about that?
No.
Okay.
No, basically her character, Alyssa, she has a pet mouse, which actually is a pivotal part in the movie as well, who's also female. So it's a trio female with the female mouse. So.
That is so great, like animal happenings going on. And is there anything that inspired you to kind of do this film at all in terms of the horror genre, going to it?
Well, I'm the co-director with Laurence, my wife, and we've been doing horror films now for a while. It's our 5th horror feature. But this one in particular was inspired by this house that we bought like about 10 years ago, and a lot of weird things happened in the house, still happening, and that basically inspired the first act of the script. And then imagination took it from there and combined it with a couple of other real life events and kind of fused the idea. But it was inspired by the actual house that we shot the film in. So what happened there, yeah.
And what drew you to the project?
Well, I've had my own experiences similar to the ones that happened in the house, and I just thought that the role was really cool. I play Steph. I am her best friend, and I come to the house and I kind of help her deal with some of the dark things that are going on there.
And in terms of, with the horror genre right now, there's been a lot going on in the last year in terms of certain, films getting a little bit more mainstream recognition. Maybe it's always been happening. Is there any hopes in terms of a messaging coming out of your film or just the future of the genre in terms of where the film may, fit into?
Well, I think it's really exciting. I mean, horror's always been there. It kind of comes in little waves where people pay attention to it, but it's like always there, and there's so many subgenres to horror. And I think right now what's happening is people are kind of realizing like, oh, horror's a broad category. There's a lot of different types of horror movies, and that's exciting because a lot of times I think in the U.S., not overseas, but in the U.S., a lot of times people think of just one subgenre of horror when they think of horror, when really horror is covers a very wide genre of different types of films. And all of them kind of, horror is like science fiction, I think, in terms of it tends to comment directly or indirectly what's happening out in the world.
I submitted my feature film, my script, to Shriekfest, and I became a finalist.
Wow, okay.
That's exciting.
So if you could tell us a little bit about your project.
Sure. It's about 2 orphan children that are mysteriously taken to a place called Blackwood Falls, and where a puritanical monster kidnaps children.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's relevant to a certain degree. So what inspires you to get into this genre and also write the particular theme of this script?
Well, with this genre, I really like writing all the little pieces of the puzzle and put them together. I've always liked mysteries. And with this project in particular, I was kind of inspired by the tale of the Pied Piper of Hamlin. And he leads the children to their death in the original version. So I kind of used that with a lot of kind of puritanical sort of elements from 1600s America and kind of put them together.
Awesome. And just, in terms of the last year or so, we've seen so much with the horror genre kind of, re-emerging into the mainstream with certain, getting certain recognition. So what's your hope in terms of, where do you think we are now with the genre, and where do you hope that it goes in terms of recognition, in terms of kind of films that get to be seen in a mainstream kind of way?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'd need to really think about that because, everything is moving so quickly, as it does in the film industry. But I think with horror, we're definitely exploring. It's not just remakes. I've actually seen a lot of original material, and people are coming together with different themes. And I think a lot of times horror films are based on socioeconomic, situations that are going on in the world. And I think that horror will continue to move along with whatever current situation that we're in, politically, economically, however.
Jessica O'Keefe, director of Jane Love.
Kate Norby, star of Jane Love.
Okay, and if you could tell us a little bit about your project.
Well, Jane Love is making the world a better place, one kill at a time. And she's pregnant, and she's 40.
Yes.
Awesome.
So we met, we have kids the same age, and our kids were in preschool. And I was like, oh, I'm an actor, and Jessica's like, yeah, I know, I'm a director. And I said, oh, cool. And she said, let's do something. And so
Let's just mess around with an old script.
Right. She just found
and then
a
we
script.
rewrote it.
Yeah.
So I was rewriting it, and then my writing partner said, this would be a great show, a great TV show. And so we finished the short, and now we're on to a feature length soon.
Awesome. And what attracted you to doing this kind of project with this sort of theme? You mentioned the slightly older
Serial
woman
mom.
and the serial mom kind of, what inspired you to have that kind of theme in this film?
Personal experience? I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
That's fine too.
But not really. Right?
We're very
funny.
protective moms.
Yeah, right? We have a lot of, it's the humor, it's the dark humor, and it's also the ability to talk about social issues in a way that's not like over your head or too
like
scary.
this.
Something that I want to laugh at and also be terrified, but laugh. It's nice to have that.
And in terms
genre.
of that, that
horror genre.
commentary, what do you hope kind of the viewers take away from your project? If they could take away one kind of message when they leave the theater, what would that be?
Don't mess with moms.
Right? Exactly. Make good choices.
Yeah, make good choices. Be gentle, be kind.
Or else.
Don't kill people. Don't be a pedophile.
That's
Those are
good
valuable
messaging.
lessons.
Yes.